Alright guys, how's everybody doing out there? This is Mount Vernon Kid coming to, and it's been a while since I've done these recap slash reviews on the Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And I'm gonna do the first couple of episodes that have been airing 20 to 22. But I'm gonna have a little help with me today. So everybody, I'd like you to meet my good friend, Deadpoolzilla.
Yo, what's up, guys?
And we're gonna do this together because I thought it was very interesting. First and foremost, everybody that don't know yet, for this week in Australia, the land down under, Earth's Mightiest Heroes is airing down there, and for a week, and they're airing 20 to 26. But there are some YouTubers here that are actually uploading them. And first of all, I got to thank them. I'm not going to shout them out by name because I don't want to get them in trouble or anything like that. But
protect your identity, sir.
Yeah, we'll protect your identities. But what I will do, definitely, if you haven't seen any of the episodes, I will leave the links in the description so you can watch the episodes if you haven't seen them. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about is episode 20. Everybody's like, "Oh, kid, when's episode 20 coming?" And well, I didn't know when it's coming to the States, but I found out it's coming to you Aussies. So you guys got it lucky. Okay. So this episode was actually pretty good. The episode is entitled "The Casket of the Ancient Winters." And pretty much the whole concept of this episode is that we see another villain from Thor's world. And who is that villain, Tyler?
That would be Malekith, the Dark Elf.
Yeah, so we get to see one of the Dark Elves that, we all hear, quote-unquote, the Thunder God would face in Asgard. For all those that don't know who Malekith is, he's like Tyler said, he's a Dark Elf. He first appeared in the Mighty Thor number 347, if I remember correctly. And he was voiced by Quentin Flynn, the same actor who voiced people like Johnny Quest from the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, Raiden from the Metal Gear series, and people like that. But also in this episode, we got to see a little bit of more what I wanted to see, a little bit of animosity between Steve and Thor. I said Steve, I mean Tony and Thor, excuse me. Thor has a problem with technology, while Tony is almost ruled by technology. And in the beginning of this episode, we saw Jan and Hawkeye and Hulk actually chilling and relaxing. It was kind of funny seeing Hulk in the swimming pool just taking a few laps around the swimming pool. I was like, no, they didn't got Hulk in there swimming. And Jarvis calls in basically an Avenger alert, and they start to say that Thor, T'Challa, and Tony are fighting an enemy. And that enemy happens to be none other than
Radioactive Man.
Yeah, Radioactive Man, Dr. Chin, which was really cool. I'm glad to see that they're still living up. They're still living up to the whole concept of they still have to get all the villains that escaped from the different respectable jails. And Radioactive Man escaped from the Cube. And we actually see them fighting Radioactive Man. It was good. I mean, I had no problem with Thor, having a little bit of hard time with Radioactive Man, because there have been times Radioactive Man has, quote-unquote, taken it to Thor on some occasions. So I'm not going to really go too deep into that.
I'm also glad they used his nuclear reactor suit.
Yeah.
Rather than because would you really take that guy seriously if he came out in the leotard and boots?
True. I don't think I would have taken Dr. Shin too serious. what Tyler is talking about his current look. If anybody was still reading, basically Thunderbolts when Radioactive Man was still on there, his classic look where he had the leotard boots like we're talking about, and you just seen him. He was green, but he had his radioactive suit on. Panther was great in this episode. It was great to see Tony was like, "Are you sure you're okay?" You know, because this guy's putting on a lot of juice, and he's like, "My suit protects me from radioactivity," and he's like, "Of course it does." You know, you can still see that kind of bitter rivalry kind of with Tony and T'Challa, like in terms of technology wise, you know, Wakandan technology and Tony's technology. But like I said, Tony, Thor's like, you know, technology, human technology, it causes monsters. And you know what? In a sense, Thor had a point. You know, Thor did have a point. You know, a lot of scientists, you know, have done this to themselves, and they, you know, so I can't really deny what Thor was saying, but there have been some scenes of like, you're like, you can't judge us because of that, Thor. You know, Thor was being a little judgmental in this episode.
I think.
Go ahead. Go ahead, T.
Although Hulk, not Hulk, Thor had the right idea for. He had the right idea for what he did to stop Radioactive Man, which was he actually threw him in the arc reactor.
Right.
And then he actually blew up the top of it, and Iron Man was like, "Why'd you do that?" And Thor told him, like, you know, you were being stupid. If the arc reactor blew up, it'd be like hundreds of all that water would be contaminated throughout the populace.
Right. Because there was when they were trying to figure out how to beat Radioactive Man, he actually came there to absorb the arc reactor that was in the tower. The same thing that happened to Wonder Man, that's what Radioactive Man was after. And Tony figured out, if I do this, but he didn't think about the consequences of it. So that's why Thor did what he did in that episode. And then from there, we just started to see back and forth between Thor and Tony. Meanwhile, we see Enchantress and the Executioner confronting somebody, and you know, and then we find out who it is. It's Malith, you know, the accuser, and he basically freezes Enchantress and the Executioner, and he pretty much makes he basically turns the Earth into almost another ice age. And from there, the Avengers got to go into action again. What also was cool was a little hint from Hawkeye when the snow came and it turned cold. He was like, maybe we should move to the West Coast. West Coast Avengers, anybody out there? I thought that was really cool. I thought that was funny. Janet and Hawkeye leave, and they kind of leave the Hulk.
In the pool.
Yeah, they leave the Hulk in the pool, which is kind of funny. The pool froze over. Hulk was still in there, and the Avengers are trying to figure out where this is coming from. What's going on? Tony is, you know, flabbergasted. He can't figure it out. And what does T'Challa do? You know, use his head. And while Tony's still kind of arguing with Thor over magic and everything like that, and T'Challa says the nominee's coming from this direction, and that was funny. Meanwhile, in the city, we see Cap and the rest of the team handling these giant creatures, ice creatures that have come out of the ground, and Steve's doing his thing as always. And then, little behold, I'm going to let Deadpool do this part. Who do we see helping Steve?
All right, so, you know, we get a little cameo of two characters. When Steve's fighting those ice creatures, a huge fireball comes down, and, you know, like Chris, we were like, who the hell is that? And we see up in the sky, it's this message that wrote, "You owe me," and lo and behold, people, it's Johnny Storm.
Yeah, Johnny Storm actually, and he waved to Steve, and Steve nodded, and then we hear those famous words, and who was that?
It's clobbering time.
Yeah, we saw Ben, uh, and he came down and knocked some ice, knocked those guys out, and stood tall and bold, and it was really good to see them. These two made their debut, basically their real motion debut. Reed made his a while back, but it was Johnny and Ben that made theirs in this one.
All we need is Sue.
Yeah, all we need is Sue now, but it's okay. But we got to see them. From there, the team goes after Malik, and at first they're not really be able to handle this guy. And Iron Man comes and Malik says, "No more man can handle me." And then Tony basically says, "How about an Iron Man?" And he grabs him because it is written that all Dark Elves are weak against iron, and his suit. But the thing about Tony's suit is it's not really iron, and that's always funny to me because Iron Man his suit's never really made of iron, so it was like, why would you call him Iron Man? But I'm getting off topic with that one, but it was hurting him a little bit. But lo and behold, it wasn't doing that much damage to him. While Thor did get free. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead, T.
Sorry to cut you off, Chris, but
yeah.
I think we should also mention that this Malekith's a little different from the ones in the comics because in this one, all the Dark Elves, including Malekith, was brought back by the dead by Loki.
Right.
Because in this TV show, it said all the Dark Elves were wiped out by the Frost Giants.
Right. Okay, good call. If anybody doesn't know who Malekith was brought back by Loki and Surtur. There we go. He was brought back to life by them, but in the series, Thor said it. The Dark Elves were wiped out by the Frost Giants, so another race of Asgard as well. So there's a little differences between this and the comic version, but it was okay. Thor was frozen too. He got frozen. So it was up to Panther and Tony to fight the Dark Elf, and the Dark Elf started to get to T'Challa. Started to get inside his head. While Tony was able to free Thor, and they were able to hold their own against the elf until they were able to defeat him. And in that subject, we got a little bit more respect between Tony and Thor in terms of their respective nature, magic and technology. And from there, it was kind of funny. They forgot about one person, two people, and that was Enchantress and Executioner. And they even said, maybe aren't we forgetting about somebody? And then they all got knocked down, and she took the casket that Mouth had, basically. And Thor was like,
I gotta tell Odin about this.
Yeah, I gotta tell Odin about this. I gotta go back. Why are you doing this? He was calling Enchantress by a real name. Why are you doing this? And she's like, you'll soon find out. Basically calling him my love, because Enchantress does have big, strong feelings for Thor, but in the comics, Thor's heart was always to Lady Sif, but in the show, it's more of Jan Foster or so. But Thor opens up a portal to Asgard, but unfortunately, what happens, T?
He gets blocked out.
Yeah,
he gets that portal. He gets shot right back out.
Yeah, he blocks out. He can't. Somebody put up a barrier for Thor not to come back to Asgard. Now, I was saying maybe this is punishment. Odin did this as punishment. I'm not saying that, or maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's his brother. Who knows? But overall, this was a good episode. This was a very good episode. What did you think of overall this episode, T?
Yeah, I liked it very much. Like you said, very good. We actually got to see a magic-based villain other than Amora.
Right.
I think what you also forget, like Remember when Hulk came out of it, like when he finally broke out of the pool
Oh,
and he
yeah.
ran to Hawkeye? He
Yeah.
grabs Hawkeye by the throat and he goes, "You left me in the pool!"
Yeah, I totally forgot about that, people. Yeah. Hulk came back, and Hawkeye's like, "Hey, buddy," he grabbed him. He was like, "You left me in the pool." But yeah, that was good stuff, though. It was all around, people. But we're gonna be back with the next review. So stay tuned.